and then we're going to be able to change the image depending on who's speaking. Let's start by moving this over, because I guess when we swap out pictures, it'll be happening when the story continues, right? So we'll move this out the way. Once upon a time, James was talking, and we can set a speaker to that particular character. And what we're going to have happen is simply an image will appear depending on what character you're switching to. Then suddenly Emily spoke, and then we're going to switch characters again, and we're going to have two characters trying to speak at the same time, and we're going to sort of figure out how to solve that problem. And then we don't have any valid tags related to speaking, and now we clear the speaking image to none, so this way you can remove a speaking character, I guess. And finally we try to break it by setting the character to something that doesn't exist. You probably already know how to write tags already, but it's with a hashtag. And in Unreal Engine, it will get everything after the hashtag, just straight that whole thing. We want to basically be able to say speaking as, like, I guess, a command or something, and then we specify a character which does the talking. I'm going to just put this into the description, and you can just paste this into a thing and then save it as a tags test, and then just import it into your project as an Inkpot story. You'll need to go to where you start the story and then just make sure you set the tags test 1. So to start, I think what I'll do is I'll give myself more room on this continue one here, because when we continue we want to check the tags. So we want to do a few functions. We want to be able to get current character, and this will just return the character that you've put in your string. The other function we want to make is probably something like set character, which literally can just take in the result of the get character and just sets it. The other one we want to do is a sort of a helper function, which is to get the tag value. So this will sort of, if we go back to Inkpot, if you specify speaking, that would be the, like I said before, the command, I guess, and this is the value. Basically remove this from the tag and give you whatever's after this thing. So let's create the first of these functions, which is to get the current character. Actually, set character image. Let's create a function, get speaking character. Yeah, so this here, if we go back to our event graph, we want to put it onto the on continue, because on continue we're going to get the speaking character. I'm also going to give this a category. We're going to go tags, and this is just organizing. I might even go UI tutorial, and I'm going to put the others in there and then collapse it. So we got the get speaking character. This is going to return a character. So if we go into it and we get a return node, and then if we add in an output, this would be, let's make this an enumerator. So I'm going to go to my content, and I'm just going to go, I've got a new folder here called character, and I'm just going to make a enumerator, and I'm going to call this characters. And in here we're going to have a bunch of things. So we're going to have these. This needs to match the tags that you've made. So if you've got a speaking character called James or Emily or none, you'll need to do that. The first one, however, I'd make that invalid. We're going to put error over here for the description. This is just a tooltip for editor ease of use. But character 1 will go none, as in no character, and then so we've got three different characters. Yeah, okay, perfect. So now we close this, and so what we can do is we can change this to this. Okay, so there we go. Characters. There we go. You can see now we've got our list down here. So when we get the currently speaking character, we're just going to return whichever character it is that's currently speaking. Now, to start this off, what we need to do is have an input, and this input is either going to be the story, Inkpot story object reference, or I would not make this the story. I would make this the line, current line of text, and we're going to make this into a Inkpot line object reference. Why am I doing that? Well, if I go back to my event graph and I just get this story, and if we drag out of here and we go get tags, you can see that, yeah, we get a list of the current tags, but these are for the current state of the story. Get line, which gets the current line of text, and then we can go get tags. And these are two different nodes. Gets the tags for the current state of the story, and this one gets the tags for that current line. What we want to do is take this and basically plug this into, where's it gone? Take the story, get the current line, and then so get current tags, and for each loop with break, I'll tell you why with a break in a minute. And then we want to get a starts with, and this is like the prefix of the tag. So in our case, we're going to use this to identify the tag type. If we have like a speaking tag, then we can specify something into that tag. If it's the correct type, it's going to do something with that speaking tag. Otherwise, it's not the right type, then it's going to look for the next tag because it's not the speaking tag. It might be a tag that is in this case, this function won't care about. We want to put in speaking, and then make sure to put in a colon. Make sure you don't identify the wrong tag. So if I go and we have a look at the SpeakingLoud, for example, you can see if we didn't have a colon here, then it would count this as the correct tag, and then it would try to read. In your case, it's reading the wrong tag. If it matches this, case sensitive or not, up to you, but if it does, then we're finished. We found the first speaking tag, so we don't need to check for any more tags. In the case where we go through all the tags and none of them have a speaking thing, it's going to end up sort of caching this into the for each loop, so that when we read it, it's going to just return the last tag, and that's not what we want. So we're just going to, on completed, just basically double check that the tag in the array element is still the speaking tag. And if it isn't, then that's when we're going to return with every single tag was not a proper speaking tag. However, if it is a speaking tag, then what we want to do is loop through this characters list. So how do we do that? Well, we can go for each character, and we can get this. It's the same name as this. So when you go for each and then search up whatever you named this with your list of characters in it, plug that in. We want to convert this to a string, so to string, and we want to check if this equals exactly the value that is after the speaking. So currently, if I was to print string, we'll just make this last for more than 2 seconds, like 20 seconds. It's printing out the whole thing. We need to somehow take away the speaking part of the tag and just have the name of who is speaking. So how do we do that? Well, we're going to create a helper function, which I'm going to put under this tags one. I'm going to name this one get tag value. I'm just going to paste some nodes I've got from another project. We are going to take in some values, which I'm going to make a string. I'm going to output a string. With values, and then we'll put in brackets the little colon. We're going to search in this tag and use substring of this colon, right? Use case no, search from in no, start position is default at -1, I think. So basically what we're doing is right chop will chop everything to the left. So right chop just returns the string to the right of a certain point in the string. And find substring will return the position of this. in the string, and then we add one to it to include this, and so we chop all of that out. We want to do that to the tag with values. We want to also replace string, put in a space bar in here, so there's one space in here, and two with nothing. A no space bar is nothing. Just make sure, doubly sure you got that right. One space in here, you can see I've selected a space, and nothing's in there. I can't select anything. This will simply remove the spaces here, like you can see I'm doing. Otherwise you'd have to have it like this, and if you had a space bar here by accident, it would break everything. And then we can return that. And I would have ignore case in this one. Just click on the function and make sure to turn on pure. This removes the execution nodes so that you can just give it a string and it'll output a string without having to go through any execution nodes. So if we now take this this string here and just tidy things up a little bit, I'm also going to remove this, and for each thing here, so we're going to call our function get tag value, and it's going to return everything after this point. Plug this in here. Now this should go in here. So if the tag value is the same as one of our options in this character, then we're going to get a reroute node here, another reroute node, promote this to a local variable, found character, for example, like switch to the character that we've found in the list of characters. Once we've completed that, we then want to return it. Return that one. Yeah, so one more thing. We're going to set the found character to invalid right at the start. This is just going to make absolutely sure that if for any reason we don't find a character, it will return invalid. I'm going to rename this node as well. Get speaking character. So now we want to change the UI based on the result of this character. Let's create a function to do with setting character. Set character image. Return. So this is going to take an input of the characters. Characters. If you search up switch on characters, basically switch an execution pin based on the character that you get. Go to the designer tab. We're going to add in a little picture image, which would be our character. Hold control to drag this one around. Let's go character 1, and I'm going to do this. And you're probably like, damn, that's a stretched image. Character 2. All these images could have different resolutions. So some images might stretch and some images might not, depending on which character you use. So how do we make it so that none of them stretch when we swap out the image? Just none of them stretch. What you can do is you can right click on the image and you can go wrap with a scale box. And wow, it just fixes it up like magic. Woohoo. And now it's just not going to stretch. And whatever image we swap it out with is not going to stretch. And I click continue a couple of times. It's going off the screen. I have to maximize my screen quite a lot in order to actually see all the text. I don't want to have to do that. So do this, something like this. I'm holding control when I'm dragging these points around, by the way. And I'm going to go wrap, and I'm going to turn this on. And auto wrap's just going to make it, when the text reaches the end, it's going to go on to the next line. Yep, perfect. See, we want to change this image. Set this to clear, character picture. Call it whatever you want, but make sure it's a variable, because when you go over here again, you can see it's now in your list of variables, and you can do stuff with it. Set brush from texture. It takes in the target, which is the picture, and the texture is going to be, we're going to promote this to a local variable, and this, we're going to call this new image. We're going to plug this into the return node. Oh, match size. This is very important, very important. Turn this on. What that does is, if we go back to our designer, do you see when I pick an image like character 1, it's 200 pixels wide by 200 pixels tall. If you get this wrong, you're going to have a scaling issue again. If you had an image that was really wide or tall, then it would change the settings so that, again, you don't have a distortion issue. So just make sure to do that and to match the size. If we set the character image to something that's invalid, we want to do absolutely nothing. None, or maybe I should have worded it as no character. Then set this new image here to none. Then continue to set the brush. James, we want to duplicate that a couple of times. The picture of whatever James would be. In my case, I'm going to use character 1. Emily would go character 2, character 3. You can go in here and add as many things as you want, and as soon as you do, you're going to see that you have more to deal with, right? It's pretty instant in how you do things. Be careful when deleting though, like say I delete one too many, you're going to have errors. Oh, also remember to plug everything into the set brush. Get speaking character, set character image. You can just set it specifically to a specific thing whenever you want, or you can take whatever the current speaking character is and then set that as the character. There's one more thing I want to do, and that is remember how the first time it doesn't work properly? You may need to do this at the start for like just the first time before it's managing it automatically. Because like say if I go back to my designer here, if I set this to clear, it should, as soon as I click play, yeah, it should update instantly as soon as the first line. If you didn't have this here, if you didn't have it attached there, you're going to end up with the character not working for the first line. Okay, so just make sure you refresh everything for the first line. So yeah, that should all work. So it's changing. Both James and Emily want to use it at the same time. To solve this, simply use the first speaking tag. This line of text doesn't have the correct speaking tag, so it didn't do anything. You still have the old picture there. And now we clear the speaking image to none. I've just got it removing the picture, but you might want to have like stuff animate away, and then we try and break it, but it won't do anything because we're trying to not to let it break. You should subscribe if you want.